Hey guys, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Witch and the Holy Night. So last time we finished up the main story of the game and yeah, it was pretty fun. So last episode as well, there was supposed to be a credit scene there, but I had to cut it out because copyright problems. The song that was playing during the credits was blocking the whole video. So I do apologize for cutting that out. But yeah, I was talking when the credits was rolling, I was talking about how I love this game, that this game was unexpected to me. When I first went in this game, when I started playing it, my expectations were like it was going to be like a battle, battle story, a lot of magic, a lot of stuff like that. But as we go through the game, it was different. There was a lot of talk, a lot of conversations between the characters, and for me, that pretty much made me love the game more. And yeah, I forgot about the battles and the epic scenes and all of that. Sure, that was nice as well. That was really good when we had that, but the conversations between Aoko, Alice, Sojiro, that's what made me love this game. And yeah, the little things, as they said, those little conversations that they were having in the mansion was what made me love it. Yeah, the relationship, the friendship that they had is what made me enjoy this a lot more because of that. So yes, in today's episode, we are gonna start, I guess, another side content, extra stuff. This one right here, the Honey Adventure. What are we gonna see in this one? We'll find out. So we're gonna start it today. Let's do this. It's both of them? Toko and Beowulf. It had been 1 year since he'd moved into the city from his remote village. One thing he realized during that time is that likes and dislikes were the main difference between human and beast. So we're gonna see a backstory for them? That's nice.
ここが新しいアジトか。いいんじゃない？ちょっとみすぼらしいけど、周りに人間がいないのは綺麗でいいよね。
The figure dressed in a white coat danced to and fro down the hallway. So, I guess this is before the events of the actual main story. Probably, right? Because yeah, they ran already. They left Misaki City after the ending, right? He was like a young woman in an old film enjoying herself window shopping. He was actually enjoying the atrocious sight of the school building in ruins.
そこ、あんまりはしゃがないの。何しろ築60年からの廃屋なんだから。調子に乗ってるとバキッと床を踏み抜いて。
His mouth shut before he could even say to let him have his fun. Only one set of footsteps echoed through the hallway. Not a single feather's worth of his 70-pound body was exerting any force on the floor beneath him. It wasn't clear whether he was paying reverence to the hallway or simply excited by it. It's said that even walking through a grassy field, a beast is careful not to harm a single blade of grass. Apparently this creature wrapped in a coat was no different. He was more a part of this environment itself than a settler of it. He held no regard, beast, for greater or lesser than him, but when it came to his comrades, he at least displayed human-like or rather a wolf-like clemency.
ま、相性はいいとプラスに考えましょう。街に出かけてくるけど、何か欲しいものはある？漫画とか小説とか。特にいりません。あ、帰りにハンバーガー買ってきてくれたら嬉しいな。パン生地がどっしりしてて、ハンバーグがギュッとしたやつがいい。
He likes hamburgers. I mean, didn't Sojiro say like he delivered like a lot of meat, right, in this area?
まだおもちゃより食い気ときた。食事の調達方法も確保しないとダメみたいね。失敗したかな。ルームサービスのあるホテルの方が後々証拠は残らなそう。
Toko let out a defeated sigh. With her glasses on, she was restricted to her original way of speaking and gesturing. It was the beginning of December. Exactly 1 month had passed since they came to Misaki City. Until now, Toko had been attacking Misaki from a nearby neighborhood. Deciding it was time to get serious, so she moved her base of operations to the old school building.
何？ホテルの方が良かったの？そりゃあ楽だもの。グレードが良ければホテル暮らしは快適です。でもトウコさん、こういう廃墟好きだよね。え？そうかな。そうだよ。今回みたいなのは特にそう。趣味に走るとき、周りに人がいるの嫌がるじゃない。いろんなものに興味を持つくせに、興味を持たれるのは面倒っていうか。
Toko couldn't deny that observation. She had been under contract with him for 2 years, but it had only been about a year since he became her full-time bodyguard. He seemed to be able to see right through to the root of all the problems that plagued Toko.
人混みは嫌いじゃないんだけどね。ハイビルでもハイ工場でも、いっそあの遊園地でもよかったのよ。でも、こんな田舎町じゃ君を連れているだけで噂になるでしょ。結果的に、ここに工房を構えるしかなかったの。ちゃんと人型になってるじゃん僕。別に目立たないと思うけどな。色合いの問題です。アジア系は無理にしても、せめてブルネットに化けてくれればいくらでもごまかせるんだけど。
Oh yeah, because his hair is blonde, right? He will stick out really. Yeah. Golden hair. Unfortunately, that wouldn't be happening. Simply being in human form at all was stressful for him. When he had to be human, his only condition was that he could look however he wanted. He was currently only in this form because they had to move from the town to the old school building. Once he found a classroom to sleep in, he'd be back to a wolf.
なんだって人型でいるのを嫌がるのかしらね。別に難しいわけじゃないんでしょそれ。もともとアストラル体みたいなものなんだからあなた。
Being an extremely versatile life form which required no body to stabilize him, in the physical world his body could change according to the situation. Magecraft would have defined him as a higher dimensional life form with a materialized soul.
そりゃあ何の力もリスクもないけど、面倒なものは面倒だよ。人間だって無駄なことはしたくないでしょ。僕、人型になることに有利性を全く感じないし。
Apparently he saw no value at all in his human form. That was exactly why Toko insisted he make his appearance blend in more, but the boy argued that if he had to be in a natural state, he'd at least make himself comfortable. To him, this was the only way to be a human and he wasn't going to accept it any other way. And so this is why he had taken on the appearance of a foreign aristocrat in a provincial Japanese city. Even his posh coat had been handpicked by Toko to satisfy one of his many demands.
じゃあ、お留守番お願いね、ベオくん。来ないとは思うけど、もし人が来たら捕まえておいて。その際、足の一本ぐらいなら傷つけても OK だから。
You can rough them up a bit if you need to, but no more than one leg. What? And with that statement, Toko headed off into the city.
はーい、任されました。大丈夫。人間とかそもそも口に合わないし。こっちのことは気にせず、あのピリピリするお土産よろしくね。
Bayo plopped down onto a desk after he saw his employer off. He morphed back into his wolf form.
ああ、退屈。世界中を回ってこんな田舎町が終着とか。拍子抜けもいいところ。
Imagine if Kinomi, he went here inside, right, and he saw this wolf form. Jesus Christ, I wonder what would have happened then. It had been 2 years since Bayo met Toko Aozaki. Look at that barren wasteland. After some deliberation with the werewolves, the mage was left in charge of Bayo's education. Of course, his village had no real control over him. He didn't have to go with her. He decided to go simply because she seemed interesting. Toko stood before him in the cave where he slept and asked,
え？生きている意味が知りたい？なんだ、そんなことで取引が成立するとはね。
She smiled and cut off her long locks of hair to seal their pact.
自由を知るには窮屈さを知っておかないとね。同じように生きている意味を知りたければ、まずは死ねないこだわりを見つけないと。そうだな。例えばの話、そいつを殺すまではとてもじゃないが死ねないほどの憎しみとか。
That hair was 20 years worth of Toko's life. In a way, her hair was part of herself, but she parted with it easily. She was sure that Bayo was worth the 20 years it had taken her to grow that hair. I mean, when you look at it though, Beowulf is actually like super worth it. It was just Sojiro defeated him. And that was it. But yes, I think anyone would do that. Like even Aoko, right? If Aoko had a chance, she would do that. If she could make a pact, I mean. For something as strong as Bayo. Like no question. Bayo too sensed that Toko was a creature of rare value. He was happy to have been selected by someone of her unusual talents, and though she preached learning restraint, he observed that she was a truly free woman. And then, Bayo accepted the terms of her contract and left this village. He took his first steps into the outside world. The first year was spent at Toko's workshop in England, learning basic knowledge. Namely, it was at a college of the Mages Association called the Clock Tower. At the time, Toko had her own dedicated familiar. Formally speaking, the familiar was Bayo's senior. But in that year's time, Bayo proved himself superior and earned the right to travel with Toko. They rode on a train that collected mystic eyes, known as the Rail Zeppelin. They saw the Morkrake? How do you say it? Morkrake or Morkrake? An ancient giant octopus living in the North Sea. They explored the Bermuda Triangle, a place of no return connected to other realms. They met the remains of a mage of the Elder title, a league of ancients deep in Western Europe. All of their exploits were odd and exciting enough to hold interest. I want to see those stories though, yeah. Can we see those? That's nice, yeah. Exploring the world, seeing like different mystical stuff. And throughout them all, Bayo felt that he'd been right to join Toko. This was certainly less boring than sleeping in his cave. But sweet honey makes one crave even sweeter poison. Having developed a taste for adventure, he now demanded even great thrills. It was only natural that such an innocent creature would start to look forward to its next prey. The pinnacle of that desire rested on Toko's final goal. For all her liberty and aplomb, there was one prey she would not stop chasing until she caught it once and for all. With every new adventure, Bayo would ask,
ねえ、これがトウコさんの殺したい相手？
However, the mage would always smile, really, and shake her head in response. Even this puppet master of extraordinary talent claimed that it was no easy task. Her target was in a realm far beyond anyone they dealt with so far, beyond human knowledge, perhaps beyond even Bayo. But who could this mysterious person be, and how could they be so powerful? Bayo couldn't help but be curious, discovering that he was hired for magical reasons. He mustered a rare bit of fighting spirit, thinking he found a worthy foe, but
冷静になって考えてみると、本物が偽物を相手にするとか大人げないかも。まあ。
clearly it was still only interested in itself. It knew nothing of life or freedom, its only pleasure was found in food. Bayo didn't necessarily feel dissatisfied, but it was becoming harder to stave off his boredom. Also, since accompanying Toko on her adventures, his feelings toward her had become a bit confused.
瞳子さん、あれでほんと一途だから。何でもできるのは僕と同じなのに、何にでも一生懸命になれるのって、ちょっと変だよね。
I mean, he's kind of right though, right? Like, she could literally do anything, but she still wanted, to go to Ako. That was her true goal. He slumped his shoulders exaggeratedly and closed his eyes. The golden wolf slipped off to sleep, not realizing that his feelings were in fact those of jealousy. Very nice music.
4年ぶりに帰ってきてみれば、住み慣れた町の面影はどこへやらか。駅前なんてもう別物だし、大手術にも程が。やっぱり角のタバコ屋さんなくなってる。自動販売機でタバコを買うのにもそろそろ慣れなくちゃいけないのかも。
Toko walked through her hometown for the first time in 4 years, grumbling to herself. She was on an aimless and careless stroll. No familiar escorted her, and she'd even left her self-defense bag back at the hideout. Today, she was in full tourist mode, not nervous about a thing.
ここなんてあぜ道同然だったのに、今じゃ立派なストリートと来た。因果なものね。帰ってきたっていうのに、あっちに戻った時と同じ気持ちになってきた。
This was Toko's second time going back home. After leaving the Ozaki home 4 years ago, she'd secretly returned to Misaki. The first time was longer ago. When Toko was 14 years old, she studied abroad at an academy in England. Okay. She'd spent 2 years there before returning to Japan. Then she'd enrolled in a local high school named Rayan Girls Academy and headed back to England 3 years later after graduating. That was 4 years ago. Now she felt the same as she did then when she returned to that English country town where she lived for 2 years.
寂しい？ちょっと違う。呆れてるとも違うし、怖がっているも近くて遠いような。
She rounded her shoulders and fell deep into thought. Toko felt a tingle run up her spine in a way that couldn't really be described in words. Times were changing faster than ever. Everything was relatively inexpensive and could be replaced on a whim. After thinking to herself for a bit, she cracked her knuckles and set forth. There was no use overthinking any of this. This was just how things were now. That's all there was to it. It was only natural for the old to make way for the new.
つまり、私の時代ってことだ。
You can do this, Toko. The sudden spark of self-enlightenment gave Toko the encouragement she needed, and she set off with high spirits towards the train station. Striding down the boulevard, she exuded the confidence of a supermodel or a dictator. Although she was not about to exclaim, "My conquest begins with the main street, time to tear it up." Her enthusiasm was of course still there. Toko, however, had something she had to accomplish first, before she could give thought to putting an end to the town's thoughtless attempts at modernization that would become outdated in just a few years.
甘い設定だ。こんな釘の絞りで客を煙に負けると思ったか？
Toko's first destination was not one of Misaki's protective sigils, but rather her old favorite pachinko parlor. Though the area around the train station had undergone a dramatic makeover, the back streets were mostly unchanged. Toko had exchanged 5,000 yen for some little silver pachinko balls before going upstairs and sitting at the machine she determined was paying out the most that day.
そろそろ打ち止めかな。いいふうに。千両箱が12箱か。
How do you even play pachinko, by the
4
way?
年ぶりにしちゃ上等だろ。
I've never seen how a pachinko game is played. Like these were in the Yakuza games, but you couldn't actually play them. They were just there. She sounded slightly disappointed, but her lips and posture betrayed her good humor. Pachinko parlors were a staple form of entertainment in Japan, but they were largely absent in other countries, yes. High-stakes gamers criticize it as inefficient, time-consuming, too luck-dependent, unrewarding, and so forth, basically a child's game. When Toko was studying abroad, she didn't see anything that even resembled a pachinko parlor. However, she wasn't here playing pachinko because she was feeling nostalgic for it after 5 years. She simply needed a war chest.
しかし、ヘリのチャーター代だけで足が出るとは。日本は平和すぎて、裏稼業の相場が高すぎるんだ、クソ。おかげで無一文だ。とりあえず、レオの食いぶちだけでも稼がにゃならん。
Helicopter? Well, she used a helicopter to get to Japan? Toko had chartered a helicopter to airlift 3 shipping containers full of materials to remodel the old school building into a workshop. Oh, okay. So she got a helicopter so she can bring her equipment with her. There weren't any roads a truck could take to get to the old school out deep in the mountains, so she had been forced to burn through the last of her savings.
お、37。こいつは本格的におしまいかな。まったく、こういうどうでもいいゲームだけは星の巡りがいいと来ている。
Her smile remained in spite of her complaints. There was nothing more Toko-esque than her sitting cross-legged in this pachinko parlor, one hand on the machine with the other holding a cheap cigarette. Oh, this is when Sojiro saw her. Nice. Toko noticed something out of the corner of her eye and put on her glasses to see better. She glanced over toward the odd sounds she heard and saw a pale-faced parlor employee. He had a baby face and looked like he was still in high school. Upon seeing Toko, he froze for a moment and then ran off. Or rather, he fled in a panic.
私、そんなに引く感じ？
Mage though she was, Toko was still in the prime of her youth. I mean, she's like 20, like what, early 20s, right? She's just older like 4 years than Aoko. Though she didn't like it when guys oogled her or tried to strike up a conversation, she thought the boy running full tilt away from her was a bit much. Toko made a mental note to scare the crap out of that kid the next time she saw him and returned to her game. So she really wasn't following him at the time. Okay. I like how we're seeing this side stuff here and they're showing what Toko was doing during that, I guess, yeah, the month with all the events that's been happening, right? With her winning tickets in hand, Toko left the pachinko parlor. She had won quite a bit, but it was hard for her to feel good about it after what had happened at the end of her session. Wondering what had been about, she looped around the back of the parlor to redeem her winnings for cash.
おや、Tokoさんじゃないですか。
She stopped in her tracks, frozen by a familiar voice she hadn't heard in 4 years. Kinda sounds like, the teacher? Yamashiro? Oh, we skipped though, okay. Bayo's ears perked up as he woke from his slumber. It was just before sunset. He opened his eyes with a big yawn, sniffing at a familiar scent in the air, getting closer.
よっと。
Bayo jumped down to the floor and transformed back into his human form. Though he and Toko didn't have strict master-servant relationship, he felt he should at least go and greet her since he was supposed to be watching over the place in her absence.
あれ？
Bayo's face scrunched into a perplexed frown as they met in the hallway. He sensed something more to the smell he'd been so used to.
ただいまベオくん。はい、真面目にお留守番していたお土産。
Toko handed the paper bag she was holding to Bayo. Bayo was happy to get his hands on the bag stuffed full of hamburgers, but he tilted his head at the lingering odd scent.
どうしたの？浮かない顔して。留守中何かあった？いや、思わず寝ちゃうぐらい何もなかったけど、トウコさんの方こそ何かあった？なんか元気ないし、妙に疲れてるし、何よりちゃんと僕の好きなお店のハンバーガー買ってきてるし。え？そう？別に何もなかったけど。
This was all extremely suspicious. One of the major red flags for Bayo was Toko's usual complete lack of interest in food. Toko thought that a hamburger was the same no matter where you ate one, so she had often just stop at whatever or wherever was closest. Thus, Toko would only stop at a certain Asian burger chain, still rare in Japan, maybe 1% of the time, and not to mention...
いいじゃない。ちゃんと好きなお店のバーガーを買ってきたんだから。これは私なりのベオくんへの感謝の気持ち。今までいろいろ連れ回したけど、これからもよろしくね。
She had a sickly sweet smile on her face. If any of the puppets she had let loose in Misaki heard what she was saying right now, they'd probably fall into a logic error loop and self-destruct. Toko was not one to ever consider the rights of her familiars.
うさんくさい、芝居くさい、真っ向くさい。優しいトウコさんなんてトウコさんじゃない。いっつも周りを恨んでいて文句ばっかり言って幸せそうな人たちをめちゃくちゃにしたいんだけど大義名分がないから我慢してる。そんな理性のおかげでかろうじて性格破綻者を免れてるトウコさんはどこ行ったのさ。失礼しちゃうな。私だってたまには優しくなる時ぐらいあるんだから。ほら、4年ぶりに故郷に帰ってきたのよ。ベオくんだって里に帰ったらちょっとぐらいホッとするでしょ。それと同じ。私だってホームシックになる程度の可愛らしさはあるんです。すっごい嘘。月が涙を流すぐらい嘘。本当です。もうベオくんそれ返して。罰として夕食抜き。
Toko made a grab for the paper bag, but Bayo dodged and jumped out the window. He dexterously kicked off against the wall and scampered up onto the roof of the old school building.
なんだい、ほんとつまんない。言い訳するトウコさんとか僕見たくない。
He pulled out a hamburger from the paper bag and took a big bite out of it. That said, though her attitude had seemed like an act of Bayo, it was true that Toko was in an unusually good mood. It wasn't clear why that was the case, but Toko seemed to be feeling something special, or at least something hadn't ever shown, or she hadn't shown Bayo before.
なんだろう、あの匂い。妙にふわふわしてて、鬱陶しくて。
Bayo couldn't understand what exactly that feeling was. He only knew basic feelings such as like and dislike, delicious or disgusting. He wasn't able to articulate much further than that yet.
まあいいけど、僕には関係ないし。トウコさんも明日になればいつものトウコさんだろうし。
Bayo continued to eat through his hamburger, still not completely satisfied with the day's course of events. The truth was, even if Bayo didn't care enough to understand it, he was still a little upset that there was something he didn't know. A few days has passed. Unbeknownst to the people of Misaki, progress was being made on the remodeling of the old school building. Meanwhile, Bayo was bored out of his mind, knowing he had to be stuck here for at least another month. He could feel both his body and his mind dulling as he spent his days simply lounging around eating meat. On the other hand,
買い出しに出てくるからあとはよろしくね。元気してた？はい、お土産のローストビーフ。
roast beef.
行ってきます。屋上の機材片付けておいてね。ただいま。今日もお留守番ご苦労様。よし、行ってくるでござる。
Then we're actually liking Toko now. Like seeing the behind the scenes, I guess, on their side. The relationship she has with Bayo is kind of good though. Like she's not always angry is what I'm saying.
お疲れ。お酒臭い？バッカ、酔ってなんかないです。もう全然酔ってなんかないもん。
It was exactly like, remember how she talked to Sojiro for the first time in the mansion when she has not revealed herself yet? It's pretty much like that. So we could see how Toko really is. I mean, this is what Toko had become. The mage was constantly out and always in a good mood, in a stark contrast to Bayo, who spent his days at doing nothing. Evidently, she was happy with how her workshop was becoming more and more fortified by the day.
違う。もう絶対違う。そんなんでトウコさんの機嫌は良くなんないし、ここに関しちゃぐちぐち不満ばっかりこぼしてるし、何よりござるとかバカっぽいこと言わないし。ん？どうしたのベオくん？すっごく不細工な顔してるけど、そろそろ暴れたくて仕方がない？そういう問題じゃありません。まあそりゃ早く本命とエラと戦ってみたいけど、もうちょっと先なんでしょ。なら我慢する。トウコさんの言葉は今のところ外れないからおとなしく従います。けどなんか変。いつも下準備の時はこれぐらい暇だけど緊張感がない。毎日食べて寝て食べて寝てじゃ太る。ブクブクに太るよ。そんなのかっこよくないよ。何言ってるんだか。ベオ君にそんな心配は無用でしょ。排泄もしないくせにまともな生き物ぶってるんじゃありません。
So pretty much he can just eat whatever he wants. He don't need to go to the bathroom.
だから主にトウコさんがブクブクに。ベオ君、それ本当？数値は変わってないはずだけど、なんかこうアストラル的に増えちゃったりしてる？
Astrally getting fatter. This is what Bayo was talking about. Toko knew the accuracy of Bayo's eyes and trusted his discerning vision over even the numbers on her scale. Normally Toko would just remove her glasses and say something like,
唐突だが特攻兵器の有用性を確認したくなった。いや、意見は聞いていない。さあベオ、この首輪をつけてみろ。思いっきりハイに飛べるぞ。
but she hadn't done anything of the sort and it was beyond weird for her.
別に増えてないよ。昨日とちょっとの上下差はあるけど、そんなの人間なら当たり前だし、いちいち本気にするとか見苦しいからやめてほしい。本当？こう後でボテッとくるような気配とかない？ないってば。昨日取った栄養分はきれいに分配されてるし、いつも通りのトウコさんだよ。
That last part was a lie. She was not the same Toko that Bayo had always known. Even though she was physically the same, there was something still odd about her since a few days ago. That strange, floaty, lingering scent was still there. It was a change that only a wild beast like Bayo could discern, but it was getting stronger with each passing day. Bayo was annoyed because he could not figure out what the scent was.
それなら安心安心と。私は出かけてくるからお留守番よろしくね。
Toko failed to notice Bayo's poor mood and left the old school building in her usual carefree mood. This was how it had been for days now. I mean, it's kind of lonely here. Her going out every single day and then him just waiting for her, bringing him food, and that's it for him. Of course he's gonna get bored. Bayo stared at his own reflection in the window and contemplated for a while. Unfortunately, this wouldn't solve anything. It wouldn't change the fact that his employer was still acting strangely. And it wouldn't get rid of the uncertainty he was constantly feeling in his chest. He knew he didn't have much other choice.
瞳子さんを尾行しよう。
He decided to let go of his principles for just this one day. Okay, so he followed her. They say winter is going to be colder than usual this year. Make sure you got sufficient food, clothing, and shelter. We should be fine on clothing, but make sure to shore up the other two. He listened to the talk around town as he passed through Misaki. It was just past 1 in the afternoon on a weekday. Workers had returned to the office after the lunch breaks and the kids were all still in school. The main street was fairly calm and relaxed with mostly housewives out and about. Yet one person stood out in this calm and gentle sea of people. Toko endured the stares of the housewives out shopping, salespeople in their shops, and salarymen out on business as she walked through the main street. It wasn't just her sense of style that stood out, but also her generally powerful presence that attracted eyes. To put simply, she walked with confidence of a model on the runway. Yep. Like if
人には目立つなっていうくせに本人は腫れたもんな。潜伏期間中、相手に見つかるのは僕だけのせいじゃないと思う。
I mean, if you look at Toko, yeah, she is pretty, and then the way she walks, the way she talks, she would really stand out just by walking. Yes, and her outfit as well, right? Bayo kept about 10 yards behind Toko, careful and not actually mutter the words he was thinking in his head. In Toko's defense, she was fully aware of how much she stood out in the crowd. If she was out a busier time of day, she always wore an accessory inscribed with a rune that diverted people's attention away from her and made her stand out approximately 40% less. Toko finished up her shopping and headed towards the residential part of town. She walked up to a house that looked completely normal, rang the doorbell, and after stating her name, the door opened quietly. It looked as though the things she had bought were for the residents of this house. The nameplate outside read Asagi. Misaki was in the mountains, but for a moment, Bayo got a whiff of sea brine. Assuming he must have just mistaken it for other smell, he put it out of his mind. Toko came out of the house after about 30 minutes. She stretched her arms above her head and took a deep breath. Whatever had gone on inside seemed to have been rather serious. It was as if a weight had been lifted from her shoulders.
これで根回しは終了っと。あとは、最後の念押しね。めんどくさい。
Toko murmured, exasperated, but lurking behind her words, Bayo could still detect that lofty scent emanating from her mouth. Her next stop was another plain-looking apartment. Isn't this Sojiro's apartment? It looked as though she had just happened to walk by, but Bayo's nose was not easily so deceived. Toko made it look like she was just aimlessly killing time, but she had in fact arranged to arrive at the apartment at exactly 2:30 p.m. In the parking lot of the apartment... Ritsuka. Okay, so let us save here first. As what do you call this? Let's save here and then let's do the Ploys. Archives right now. Yeah, let's do one of the Ploys. We'll continue this one, the Honey Adventure, next time. We'll do this as... Yeah, these are quite short, right? And... yeah, I just want to do this so we don't forget to do this in our Let's Play. Yep. We'll do like back and forth, I guess. Like the next episode as well? we'll do more of the adventure, the honey adventure, and then do Ploys again. Components, songs, and pigs.
Chef, マグロ3種盛り1つ。
One 3-piece tuna special, please. Oh,
アリスさん、なんすかそれ。なんか見たこともない金色のお皿っすね。
大したことはないわ。
that thing is expensive, right?
普通のと中トロと大トロのセットなだけよ。
I've never eaten in basically this. I actually haven't eaten sushi in my life. Yeah.
鮮血のトリコロール。フランスの国旗みたいっすね。自分、経済的な理由で卵とイカとイナリしか頼めないっす。
Like, does this really taste good? I mean, it's raw, basically, right? It's not cooked or anything. It's raw.
シェフ、中トロをもう一度。
また赤いのっすか？光り物とか白身とかいかないんすか？イワシとかカンパチとかいけるっすよ。
Sardine? Wait, you can do that to a sardine?
シェフ、大トロをもう一度。
Okay.
その皿一つでいつもの夕食1回分の値段なんすね。さ
大したことはないわ。シェフ、大トロをリピート。
Cost is of no concern. I mean, she's rich.
初めからマグロしか眼中にないとか、さすがアリスさんっす。クオン時財閥の娘は伊達じゃないっすね。
お金はこういう時に使うのよ、ロビン。チャンスで出し渋るのは良くないわ。
If you
今日は
have it.
青子のお財布を借りているのだけど。
Wait, that's Aoko's money she's spending, not hers, though.
そうっすか、青子さんの。
That's why she keeps ordering,
で
because
もそ
Aoko
れ
is
すぐに
paying.
空にならないっすか？青子さんの財布の中身お寒いっすよ。
大丈夫。備えあればよ、ロビン。ここにもう一つ温かなお財布があるわ。
My second purse.
何？
なんでもないっす。アリスさんは家主、すなわち絶対者。あの洋館に住むもので誰が逆らえようか。にしてもあのシャバ像小金持ちっすね。ずっしりくるっすよ、この財布。
うなる札束ね。ドキドキするわ。
All that cash? Someone fan me? What? Wait, Rubik's Cube. Cake. Was that
お
Rubik's
金が
Cube?
来ないわね。
Oh! Toko is
上座
right
の
there.
席で独占しているやつがいるみたいっす。緑色のコートでメガネで麻雀牌を積もるような優雅さで2貫ペロリと。はいで誰かは言わないんすけど、あれやけ食いっすね。声
Stress
かけるっ
eating.
すか？
放っておきましょう。誰にだって知り合いに見られたくない時はあるわ。
What is that, a chess piece again? Oh, it's a, what do you, trinkets, an egg.
アリスさん、お皿取らないっすか？
仕方ないわね。じゃあこれ。
おめでとうございます。
Who is this? Chatty twins.
ありがとうございます。
Oh, Twiddle D and Twiddle Dum. Okay.
誰っすか？てこ入れ？
説明しよ
説明するよ。
う。何を隠そう、僕らこそ。
誰が語ろう、僕らこそ。
ご主人様の超愛熱い変幻自在のシックスフォース。
哺乳類から鳥類まで完全網羅の高級プロイ。おしゃべり双子とは僕らのこ
But yeah, weren't they in the game in the beginning when we first saw Alice battle? They were used, right? Once. Oh, they're gone.
全く真っ暗どっちらけ。これじゃあゲームもできやしない。
見る者いなけりゃどんな目だろうと同じこと。賭けの続きは薄墨の鳥の卵が回った後で。あ、今のもしかして豚コンビ？あいつら人間にもなれるっすか
1の目を出すと人間になるそうよ。詳しくはこう。名前はおしゃべり双子。うるさい方がトゥイードルダム、騒がしい方がトゥイードルディ。
The noisy one is Tweedledum, the loud one is Tweedledee.
ダイスを振って出た目で変形する。形が変わるプロイね。
Oh, okay, so if you get 6, you're gonna get pigs. If you get 1, it's gonna be humans. Okay, weights, penguins, do-over, pot lids.
人間社会に毒されているから普通の魔術が効きやすいのが欠点よ。
1の目とか出したことあるっすか？
私じゃ無理みたい。小豚の姿以外見たこともないもの。
無理も何もご主人様は清純すぎる。どんなものにも裏はある。僕らは振るにはコツがいる。
そうそう、時にはダーティーに。とかくこの世はイカ様だらけ。ズルをしないと6の目以外は出ないが定め。
夜の共演がお皿に乗ってやってきたわね。
Honestly, the trinket looks like a cat.
おなじみのディドルディドルっすね。自分も知ってるっすよ、このマザーグース。
それだけ有名ということよ。ヘイディドルディドル、猫とバイオリン、牛が月を飛び越えた。その面白い光景を見て犬が笑った。そしてお皿はスプーンと逃げた。
I actually don't know Diddle Diddle. Yeah, I don't know Diddle Diddle.
典型的なマザーグースね。真夜中、猫がバイオリンを弾いて、牛が月を飛び越えて、犬が笑って、擬人化された皿とスプーンが逃げていくだけの歌。一説ではギリシャ、エジプトの神話を元にしたとも言われているわ。星の運営を表しているのなら、牛はタウルスの文字りでしょう。
これは使い切りのプロイっすね。一回使ったら壊れるっす。アリスさん、そのために作ってるっすか？
当然でしょう。ディドルディドルは私の魔術の基本だもの。これを地面に沈めると夜を助長させるの。夜が深まればそれだけ私の魔術、童話詠唱が確かな意味を持つようになるわ。
Okay.
詳しくはこ
う。割と使いどころ限定なプロイっすね。アリスさん、都市部じゃ能力半減つうか、森ガールだったんすか。
2 months worth of Sojour's wages is the cost. Okay.
これは七種の森ね。これ単体だと意味がないから土台になるものが必要なのだけど。
Nameless woods. It's a board now.
この5水の鏡とセットで使うものよ。この鏡は三大プロイにはなれなかったけど、機能的には三大に負けていないわ。
Mirror of Slumber. They did talk about this in the actual main story.
詳しくは、基本的には岬市全体の索敵と洋館内の警備。たまに暴走して洋館内にゲートを作って通る人を鏡の中に招いてしまうのが難点ね。
へへ、それであのシャバ像が何度死にかけたか。原点は鏡の国のアリスっすね。
そうね。もともとは内側に異世界を持つだけのエンブリオで長いこと壊れていたらしいわ。それを 母と瞳子さんが協力して作り直したという話よ。
なんでそんなことするっすか？前女神だけで十分じゃないっすか。
魔女はそのせいで一つ至高のプロイを残さないといけない決まりがあるから。彼女はこの鏡を作り直して自分の最高傑作にしたかったのよ、きっと。どうかしら。こんな風に五水の鏡の表面を岬の地図にして、その上に駒を置くと、そこが七種の森になるの。青子のデビュー戦で使っていたのはこのプロイね。このプロイの効果範囲に来ると、この先に用はないと暗示がかかって人よけになるのだけど、
空気読まないやつには通用しないってことっすね。
そうね。私のミスではないけれど配慮が足りなかった。次からは本当に気をつけるわ。気を取り直して次のプロイは自分でも食べられる卵っす。
Humpty Dumpty.
うめえ、卵うめえ。でもなんか腹にたまるっす、この卵。消化できないっつうか、なんか体の中心からチクタクチクタク音がするっていうか。
3。
3.
アリスさん、
She's counting
なんで
down.
離れるっすか？
2。
なんでかわいそうだけどあと1秒で爆発するのよみたいな目で見るっすか
1.
1。
助けて。
0。これはスクラッチダンプティね。
Scratch
マザーグ
Dumpty.
ースの歌にあるハンプティ・ダンプティをモデルにしたものよ。塀に登った卵は危なっかしくて、通りがかった王様が降りろと言っても無視するばかり。怒った王様は兵士たちに命じたけれど、兵士たちでも卵を下ろすことはできなかった。もう好きにしろ、と疲れた王様は目を離す。その途端に卵は落ちて、見るも無残、聞くも痛快に粉々に砕け散った。油断も後悔も後のお祭り。星のようなかけらたちは王の軍勢をもっても拾いきれない。壊れたものは治らないという寓話ね。はた迷惑なお話だけど。
お
ちなみにハンプティが卵型になったのは19世紀半ばから。
When the song ends, a hand comes out of the door. Avert your eyes.
1843年にアリキスというペンネームでマベリー牧師という人がハンプティのパノラマ絵本を書いたのが走り。ルイス・キャロルのハンプティはそれを参考にしたのでしょう。
Why, we're done. Nothing anymore.
今夜は品切れのようね。
They're all sold
シェ
out.
フ、お勘定をお願い。
He's gone. Oh. Bye bye. That was quite fun though, yeah. Oh, she's wearing her outfit.
次は店中の大トロを残らずいただくわ。
Did this Ploys, Wonderful World of Ploys are kind of, yeah, pretty silly, but it's nice. Yeah, it's nice. Comedy. Yeah, a little bit comedy there. But yeah, we'll continue and we'll do, what do you call this? The Honey Adventure, more of that, and then we'll do the other one of the Wonderful World of Ploys in the next one. So I'll just see you then, guys. Bye-bye.